Um, I've been thinking a lot about Brazil, and I guess I have the saudades. Uh, but it's reminded me also about how much I do remember, like viscerally and clearly, in a way that I've always said, but I don't think a lot of people experience memories in this way. And I don't know who this is for. I think it's mostly just for me, just to have it out there. But uh, like one of the like something I have a viscerally strong memory of is my old school, graded. So I was in preschool from, I think, like when I was 3 to 5 or 6, and I was in Montessori classes. And I'm just gonna give you like a layout of the school to the best of my memory. And once again, I swear on my cat's life, I guess I swear on my dad's life, that I'm not making this up. I didn't like watch home videos or look at old photos. Those are too sad. So this is just what is up here in my Windows 98 desktop, with all of the files constantly open and never really experiencing a definitive past. It's always just been sort of a perpetual present. So, okay, graded. It was like a high school, middle school, and elementary school, and also a preschool. And so in the preschool section, you're like you're walking down to like some sets of stairs, and if you're looking out on the set of stairs, there will be there's 3 classrooms against, I guess, if you're looking out the left wall. So the farthest most class, that would have been where I would have had my early preschool, like my half-day classes. I remember there was some cool, like, it was Montessori, so there was some cool things like cushion ramps to climb on, some things. But I remember biting a lot of kids. Just, yeah, getting in trouble for it, but still just biting kids. Yeah. But, and then to the class to the closest to the staircase, I don't think I actually had a class there. That was my sister's classroom. That's where my sister had her Montessori classes. And in the middle was where I had class that I remember the most, and that was with Hosa, who, I didn't know this, but I thought Hosa was my teacher. I thought she was the teacher. There was a younger woman with brown hair who I guess was the actual teacher. Hosa was just like the teacher's assistant. But I remember she was running shit. She was in charge. She was teaching. The other woman, I remember her not liking me, like, or just not being about me. I remember like being like, man, I wish I was getting better energy from her. Anyway, but that class though, the layout was, it was pretty open, little rug area in the middle. You had a little kitchenette with little desks, and then there was also 2 computers in the corner, facing the windows out towards the sort of little, I guess, courtyard area, where there would be also like easels for painting, and then also like hammers and nails to like nail stuff. And I remember I could never get a hang of how to nail, like how to hit a nail on the head. I just couldn't do it. Also, how do you hold the nail without banging your fingers? I remember just not being able to do that. Not being able to tie knots, not being able to like cut things well, draw things well, a lot. Like, it was just, I was writing everything backward too. I probably had problems. But I remember everything. And I remember, there was also behind the class. Like, it was outdoor, but then there was an indoor class in front, and then there was also like a backyard to the class. There was like a back section that connected all the classrooms. Yeah. And then there was also a music room, or it was in like a barn, but it was a barn that would be, if you're walking down the staircase, it would be to the like top right of this little courtyard area, and you would walk up some steps and then go into this little like church barn thing. That's where we would have music class. And I remember, yeah, singing Bingo, Bingo was the name-o, in Portuguese though. I do remember that. And yeah. And then there was another, and so then if you walked up the stairs though, this is where I'm a little lost here, but I remember to the right at a corner would be my mom's classroom. She taught first grade, and I remember I liked sneaking into her class because she knew me. She was my mom, but also because she had computers too that also had games that the computers in my Montessori class didn't have. So she had a fun game that was like an underwater like scuba diving game where you would click on, I think have to like match the octopus or match all the starfish or something. I remember thinking that was great. And then I think if you keep walking past her room, that's when you would get to a spiral staircase that would take you to the playground. And on the playground, I remember there was 2 little swings, and then in the back 2 sets of bigger swings. There was also then, yeah, like a jungle gym with a slide. And then if you kept going to the right, if you're looking out, I guess, towards the edge of the playground, you would get to sort of like bigger kid playground. But there was, what I liked about going up there though was that there were trees though that had these giant roots, exposed roots. And I remember thinking those roots were so cool. Climbing over them, jumping over them, but just being like, whoa. Because I'm like 2 or 3 feet tall, and those roots were coming out were almost as big. It looked like it was I remember associated them with the 1,000 Acre Wood from the Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Yeah. But if we go back to where my mom's room is, and then if we head, I guess, this way, I don't know what the directions would be. I also remember there's other elementary school classrooms that had like sunken like conversation pits, which I thought were really cool. And you weren't allowed in them because of not your class, but I remember being like, man, I can't wait to go in those conversation pits. Because I guess that's like a big thing in Montessori. But it was carpeted floor, but then all of a sudden there would be like 2 sunken sort of steps that would then, I guess, where kids would chill and listen to the teacher. But I remember thinking those were so cool. It's like, man, I want to play on those. And that, I think if you keep going that way, that's when you would start getting into like the high school area. Because let's see, yeah, because also I think if you're going, because I remember also where the library was. The library was, if you were walking towards the library, there was like another sort of like courtyard atrium area. But I remember the library it was 2 levels. The library was on the top level, exposed to this atrium, and then below it though was like a little publishing office that if you made your own little book, you could go there, and there were these 2 guys that would spiral it for you. And I remember, just like cutting out these like really, you had to cut out like cardboard paper and make it a square. But I remember just like, it would just like, I remember other kids being like, how did you get such a perfect like rectangle? Mine's like this curved triangle. And but I loved getting it labeled. I loved getting it binded. I loved picking out the colors. You could do like all, you know, red, blue, yellow, green. And I remember crazy. Yeah, but like Jose just letting me walk there by myself during class. She's like, hey, can I go get this binded? This 3-page story I wrote. Can I go get it binded? Yeah, and maybe laminated. And then, yeah, there was like 2 dudes in there that would just do it. Didn't speak English, I remember that. Very nice guys. And then, there was also then, like, I think a gymnasium that was also outdoor, like, hybrid. And we weren't allowed to play there except, I think on rainy days, they would bring out, like, big cushioned, like, slides and other things that you can, like, climb on and jump on, which were a lot of fun. There was also, like, I remember where kids would get picked up, they shut it down for construction, and then when they opened it back up, it was like this, like, 2-level, I mean, I just remember it was like this pickup lane, but to me, it felt like it was, like, off the face of the earth, like it was a total cliff, because we had to, and yeah, I just remember some teacher with a big megaphone calling out the students who had to get picked up, and it would being this, like, super intense thing. There was also, like, I don't know what this wing, but I remember where the cafeteria was. The cafeteria was also, like, indoor-outdoor that, like, bypassed a couple really cool gardens and fountains. I really loved the fountains. I thought the fountains were so great. And then around there, that's where, like, the teacher's section was. And there was one, the teacher's lounge was, because that's where I remember my parents would go after they would drop me off. And also around there was where the, like, staff parking lot was, because I remember the staff, like, the front parking lot, and the front parking lot was also where I remember graded having sort of like a fair, like a carnival. And the carnival, that was, like, super extreme for me too, just the lights and the colors, and yeah. And then I have another memory of, I guess there was a bigger gymnasium that I just never even went to, because I remember going and sitting in the stands watching a basketball game, and the O'Briens, Bridget and Bria, had pom-poms, but I remember the pom-poms really also creeped me out because they were like plastic tendrils, and I was like, what the fuck are those things? And I think around that's also where my dad's room was. Yeah, because my dad's room, it was the cool thing about it was he had his, like, desk, you know, and the teacher's desk, whiteboard, but they also, I think there was like 4 computers in there. I remember him during a zombie zoo when he took me, and I remember it was like gonna be my first zombie zoo. All the students are probably super stoked to meet me and see me, but yeah, I was too scared. There was just way too many people, way too many. It was like I was getting swarmed. Music was really loud. Did not like it. I was freaking out. I remember, I was wearing like a Yankees windbreaker. I was like so excited because it was like a little too big for me, but I would beg my parents to let me wear it. And then he put me in his classroom, and I played just Tonka, this computer Tonka truck game, and I was having a blast until the power went out, which, so in Sao Paulo, the power just would go out. That was like a regular thing, which is just, I guess, a regular thing all over the world, but America, but I remember then I was just alone. So it's like extra sensory stuff, and then all sensory deprivation, where I was just in a dark room and like pitch black, and I'm just like screaming. I can't. Like I'm running into stuff. It was really scary. But I remember my dad coming to open the door, being like, "Whew, that was a close one." Didn't know if I was gonna make it. Yeah. What else do I got up there? Yeah. I mean, just I guess, yeah, like, also the people. Like, I remember my good friend John, who's Canadian. John was my best friend in Hose's class. And, yeah, you know, having every day having snack time, bread and cream cheese stuff. I'm blanking on the name, it's late, but also there was around the front parking lot, the staff parking lot, around there was also I thought of it as like a hidden swamp. There was like a pond. It was like a garden or something. But I remember you had to walk on a cool little trail, and there was like maybe even like a cement trail bridge. But I just remember it looked like a zoo exhibit, and so I always was like, oh, there's like an alligator living in there. So I remember, not during school, like during maybe if there was like a something on the weekends, like sneaking in and trying to go there. I couldn't tell you where that was, but it would be by the gymnasium. So yeah, great. I haven't been there since I moved when I was 6. But I just remember it so well. I remember the food too. I love the food. Is so fucking good. I don't think I've ever had peanut butter as good as I've had it there. Yeah, man. Oh, man. And it was all, like, family style, too. Everybody was, like... It's just amazing. Everybody would get served, you know, plate of rice, plate of beans, plate of crumpled up potato chips, and stroganoff, and you would just pile it on your plate, family style. Crazy. 4 or 5-year-olds doing that. Insane. What a world. One more thing I remember, just before I forget, the auditorium. I remember, I think the auditorium was also by the cafeteria. It was huge. I don't know where it would be in the layout, but I remember, like, seeing 2 plays there during school. One of them was like a dinosaur musical play, and I just remember that was like one of my first times where like me and my friend John were like bad, like we were heckling, and we just kept joking because they're singing like that song that was popular in the 90s, like everyone on the floor, everyone do the dinosaur, right? But me and John, we also love dinosaurs, so we were like stoked. Like, where are the dinosaurs? And they were just like Brazilian people singing about dinosaurs. But me and John were like, I remember John said something really funny. He was like, I bet they're backstage drinking coffee. Like maybe they're just backstage hanging out. And so then I just screamed, like, let them out, bring out the dinosaurs. Man, me and John were dying. I think I was harshly spoken to, but then after that there was another one. There's another play that was Pinocchio. I remember we saw Pinocchio, but that one was like, it was in Portuguese. And so this is so funny. I was so like American centric, unfortunately, or whatever, because I remember being like frustrated that it was in Portuguese and not in English. Because up until then, like, I remember, yeah, we just did a whole thing on Australia, and I remember, like, thinking Australia was so cool, and there was, like, this book that you could check out that had, like, a little cassette tape from the library, and I was like, wow, this place has platypus and dingoes and sharks, and it's like, and they speak English. Whereas I'm in Brazil, there's no, it's this even more exotic. There's monkeys in the trees. Crazy. Bananas. There's just bananas in the trees outside my condo. But yeah, Pinocchio. Yeah, I like, once again, in Portuguese, but I remember them being like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then talking about, like, watermelons and, like, squash. But in the port, like, I remember being like, yeah, I could go for some watermelon right now. That does sound really good. So I did know it. I just don't know it now, I guess. And then there was also the tennis courts. I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you the layout there. I know there was some tennis courts. Yeah. And there was also, yeah, the bus pickup. I rode it in a bus, like in a little van. When I got to not have to do half day and do full day, and I remember being really stoked to do full day because then I got to eat lunch at Graded, which I loved. The cool part, I guess this would have been 98, because the World Cup was also super intense, where I remember waiting at the bus and just everyone's in, green and yellow, and the bus driver was like this straight up Otto from The Simpsons, like long curly hair, like crazy radical rocker guy. But I remember he had the whole get up, and I don't think his face painted, but he just had everything. He just had, like, a big like a cone that he was yelling out of, and he was picking me up and stuff. Once again, did not like any of that, but now I do. Yeah, man, shout out Graded. Miss that place.